Well, old guy in shed. I've done my tinkering for one day. I'm not going to bother you with technical stuff or how to fix crap or what I'm doing with bikes. I would be lying if I said it was late evening. Late afternoon, at a push, early evening, and so I've got my glass of Malbec. It's good Malbec, and I'm just going to sit here for a minute and enjoy a bit of peace and quiet. And I had the idea that what we don't talk about, well, I talk about it all the time, but what many people need to talk about is their experiences excuse me, riding bikes about and the past, when we were young and foolish, callow youths, the term. And for years I never knew what a callow youth was until I looked at it. And it's a lack of experience. And I did lack a lot of experience as a youth. Oh boy did I. But I have to say one of the things that I was bloody trendy. Oh yes. I had the tank top and the great batwing collars and the brushed denim. Do you remember brushed denim? Do you remember how good we felt wearing brushed denim jacket? Whoa. God. Crap. Oh, platform shoes. Remember them? Platform boots? Had a pair of platform boots and ace. And they made you walk funny. I remember that. Just used to walk funny. Why do we think it looked good? But we did. We just thought it looked good. And flares. And it's the flares that really got me Vine style one time. You know, when you were excuse me, where I lived, it was only a very small town. In fact, I would call it more of a village. But it did sport a set of traffic lights in the middle. And at times I used to come into the village, turn right and up a slight incline, so you could really go give it some, and you know, the centre sound would be sparks, the thing would be just ripping away, all 15 horse or whatever it was you had, and you felt great, you were top dog, you were really throwing this thing about. And there was never any of your mates to watch you do this and to go, wow, look out, yeah, whoa. No, none of that. You were always on your bloody own. There's never anybody there. The one time I came to this set of traffic lights, and as it happened, the lights on this occasion weren't on green, they were on red, and I pulled up, as you do. See all my mates on the other side of the crossroads there, big gang of them, just as I'm pulling up, giving it, hey, oh, hey. Flares. Here's where flares let me down. Pulled up, went to put my foot on the floor, and the kickstart had gone up the leg of me, flares, and so in front of all my mates, well, a lot of my mates. By the time I got myself picked up and sorted out, and over the road, where they were all thought this was hilariously funny, which I guess it was, in fairness, it was very funny. By the time they'd helped me sort out the bike, make sure it was okay, well, are you alright, blah blah blah, you bounce, you know, yeah, fine, me, hard as bloody nails, me, and you ride home. By the time I got home, you got to remember this was before mobile phones. This would be, Christ, hardly ever. I knew a few of my mates didn't even have telephones, so everything was word of mouth. By the time I got home, which was about 8 miles away, my mum and dad knew. Everybody in my family knew that this had happened in the middle of Aswell. And the bloody hell's going on? Why me? Why? And I'm sure everybody has a tale of absolute stupidity. Pal of mine took off from a set of lights. He had a Norton Dominator with clip-ons, rear sets, and it didn't leave much room for his girlfriend. And a guy, as he was at a absolute standstill, and a guy came up and was still moving as the lights went to green, and he went, and my mate went after him and left his girlfriend behind. It was 2 miles before he realised he didn't have his girlfriend on the back of the bike, and he thought it was going really well. You know, and these stories are out there. And one of my favourite stories on a similar vein was with my pal, and I had, like, I don't think I had clip-ons at the time. I don't think they were clip-ons. No, they were straight bars on that bike. Again, it was my first Norton, I think. I think it was my first Norton. Anyway, girlfriend used to hang on, you know, all girlfriends used to hang on, but she hadn't for some reason. She'd let go, and I took off, and I nearly had to let go of the handlebars because both her feet came under my arms, and I was just boom, right under me. She'd come back, but her feet had come up and jammed themselves under my arm. So I hit the brakes hard, and then whoop, bang on the back of my head. Couldn't remember we weren't wearing crash helmets. Oh, it was just carnage. And I was like wobbling all over the road and pulled her, and I stopped. I said, "Are you alright? You alright? You know, you've got to ask if they're alright. Because you can say it's fair play." And she's there, and she's got all this sort of face has been smashed against the back of my head. And she got off the bike and she said, "Am I alright?" And I looked in the mirror, because I actually had a little handlebar mirror on it. And she said, "Yeah, I'm okay, I'm fine." She said, "Don't do that again, will you?" I said, "Well, I thought you were hanging on." And she said, "Well, I let go because I saw my mum and I waved." So her mum was horrified at the fact that her daughter was lying off the back of this bike with her head looking the wrong way and her feet underneath my armpits. Yeah, I mean, it's the sort of thing you can't really make it. It had to have happened because, you know, you couldn't make the bloody stories up. And I admit the next tale was several years later, and I didn't actually see this happen, but I saw the aftermath of it, and the 2 guys told me. I've got no reason to disbelieve either of them. They're 2 very honest guys. One had a Guzzi V7 Sport, and at the time, I didn't realise until recently, at the time they were the fastest production motorbike you could buy. They were that quick. They were a really quick machine. Not so quick on acceleration, I don't think, but for sure top speed, really fast bike. Set of traffic lights, very big road in Cheshire, and a Porsche. And so my mate took off after to give this Porsche a run for its money, as you do. My other pal, who had a not so fast 350 Honda, and chased after him as hard as he could. And this particular pal of mine, he like all of us, he wasn't an exception, and he admitted what he was doing was like bonkers. He admits it now, but then didn't seem daft somehow. He would rev it till basically the valves were bouncing, and he'd just shift it, and after it, right on the red line every single time. And he sort of heard something, and he looked down, and when he looked up, the guy in the Guzzi decided he'd had enough of chasing this Porsche and put the brakes on to wait for him. The inevitable happened. He hit him. Now, the Guzzi, the guy who owned the Guzzi, had made his own rear parcel rack, you know, luggage rack thing, and it was, shall we say, substantial. It was proper scaffolding, really, but it was made out of square bar aluminium or dural, kind of a very hard aluminium material, very good. and it was structurally sound, and he hit the back of the bike. He went over the handlebars and landed across the back of the seat, in the lane across the seat, looking back up the road to see his Honda going end over end, and he's just sort of trying to work out how much this is going to cost him while he's on the back of the bike, while a guy on the goods is trying to slay and wobbling all over the place, because you can imagine. And I believe, now, I can't remember, this is going back so many years, I believe they picked the Honda up and he rode it home. I believe that's what happened. They were so unfazed by it all. But we were unfazed. The last time I actually hurt myself on a motorbike was that one. This one behind me, the Norge. I had come back off holiday from Italy with my wife, and it was, we'll say it was a Tuesday, it doesn't matter. And then I went into work on the Wednesday, and the bike was in an absolute state. So wash it all down with the power washer, the spray that what's it called, muck off I used for the first time, I think. Cleaned it all off. That'll do till I get it home, and then I'll give it a proper detailed clean later. But just to get the heavy muck off, the road dirt from a fortnight's worth of riding across Europe, which was cool. Okay. So I then moved it away from where I'd washed it, and I just stopped. The thing wasn't running. This thing was just stopped. And I sat astride it, and I kicked down the side stand. Went for it. The side stand wasn't fully down, and it was folded back. Like I say, the bike wasn't even running, and I couldn't hold it. I just couldn't, not physically could not hold it. Fell on the floor, a little bit like the leg up, the kickstart sort of situation. The difference was, with the kickstart situation, I got up and went home, and it was just an embarrassment. This, apart from being embarrassing, when I landed, I broke my bloody wrist. I broke my sodding wrist. Now, that's the real difference why we become more careful as we get older. It's got nothing to do with being wiser. We just realise that now we don't bounce anymore. We just brake, and it's very inconvenient. So, these things are still happening to us. It's just that the consequences are much heavier than they used to be. Oh, I do enjoy a glass of wine. And back then, as a kid, I couldn't have got that past my nose. I could not have got that past my bloody nose. Wine? Oh, for God's sake, wine? No. I used to drink a lot of stout. Well, not stout, but yeah, I did. There used to be a drink. It was a bit like diesel sump oil. It was black and thick and chewed it. Mackeson's it was called, and it was a stout. And I used to drink that stuff. It was, I guess it was a bottle version of Guinness, because back then Guinness only came in draft. And it really was. It was. I just used to drink it like man. And I remember me dad telling us years ago. I mean, he was in the war. I'm not that old, but he was in the war, and he was somewhere hot, exotic, and he had something up with him. And the ship's doctor, because he was at sea, the ship's doctor said, "Look, you've got a bit of an iron deficiency, and amongst everything else that we're suffering with, have a bottle of stout a day." And my dad thought, yeah, that's a good idea. Where the fuck am I going to get a bottle of stout a day? I think he was in the Pacific at the time, on a merchant boat. This is just stupid. But this is the sort of thing they used to say to people. They used to say ridiculous things, especially doctors. I remember I saw a documentary, and it was one I watched fairly recently, but it was of an old. And doctors were saying how good smoking was for you, because it made you cough and it made you get rid of the rubbish on your chest. And you're going, what? good for you. And it just goes to show you how things have changed. You know, I mean, I love that sort of old stuff. One of the things I really did think was hilariously funny was that a medical condition that only women had, it was called hysteria. And they used to say women women actually can be cured of hysteria. And you just think to yourself, what are people on? But I suppose it's progress, isn't it? And when you look at some of the machines we rode to what we ride now, we have a similar progress. We used to put up with a lot of shit we wouldn't put up with now. And it really wasn't a lot of shit that we just would not countenance right now. And it's the same with everything in this progress through your time on the planet. And I think it's quite amusing. And these stories, there are so many, I've got so many more stories in a similar vein that I won't tell them all at once because it'd be A, boring, and B, it'd leave me nothing to say next time. Yeah, so I think I'll drink a bit more wine and try and remember some more. I do think that if we are going to progress through this winter, I can't talk about mechanical stuff every single time. So forgive me for the ramblings. But I'm sure... Oh, no, I'm not sure at all. How can I be sure of anything? I'm not sure. But I hope that this triggers your memories to think about some of the crazy shit, you know. And if you're new to biking, this is all the crazy shit you've got waiting for you, because it still is going on. We still have those moments on a bike where you go, geez, got away with that. Where you just don't get them in cars. You just don't get that. Well, I don't. I don't know about any other bugger, but I don't. I just feel that bikes give us that ability to have stories, and I think it's the Australian Aborigines say that you've got to have your story, and I think bikers have better stories than most other people. I think sailors, maybe people who sail proper yachts. I don't mean like ocean-going liners. Well, I suppose they've got a few stories. But I think the stories that bikers have of their travels tend to be quite good and quite amusing. And there's several of them where they end badly. Should we just say, leave it at that? One or two of these stories just end badly, and I think that's okay as well. I think the more I think about the stupidity of youth, and the fact, you know, I sort of say, well, you know, I'm not that way now, and then I talk about like falling over and breaking my bloody wrist. Things haven't really changed that much. Is that just me? Or is it everybody? Is it you? Is it how you view me? Yeah. Yes. It's not always good to be a speculative thinker, or as my wife would have it, an idiot. But there you are. I'm going to leave this episode right there with that in your thoughts. Yeah. Is he a speculative thinker, or is he an idiot? Fine line, guys. Fine line. If you like the stories, press the like. If you don't tell anybody. Subscribe if you wish. Share it with others. Let's get some shared stories on the comments. I'd like to see or hear. Type it out. Some of your stories. I'd love reading them. I really would, because like I say, I think bikers have good stories. Take care. I'm going to turn the camera off now because I'm going to finish this glass of wine and then I won't be capable of sane speech. Bye, folks.